Yo, what's up everybody? Luis Green with the 21st Man and your host for the very first time ever, the Curated shows where we're giving men of color a voice through a show. Welcome and join us for the first show, the Sam Tim Show.
This is Sam with the Sam Tim Show, curated by the 21st Men. I'm here with Rashad. I met Rashad about a month ago at the Above the Rim after show. Let's know a little bit about yourself. What do you do?
Man, do a few things. So I'm actually a pastor here in Jacksonville, Florida. I have a business. I help run an insurance. I'm an insurance broker, and those are really my two main focuses. I'm big on health as well, so I wasn't the biggest plan of mine, but I ended up kind of helping out a lot of people in the community when it comes to ways in which they can stay healthy through herbs and food.
You're a pastor.
Yes.
What church are you?
Celebration Church.
Celebration Church.
Yeah.
Okay. So what do you do there? How are you involved in the community?
Really, what don't I do?
Yeah.
By that I mean the church just essentially hits me up and be like, hey, can you help serve in this area?
How do you serve?
So
what do you do?
One of my main roles is helping bridge the gap between the school and the church. Essentially, I connect with the community, but specifically through principals, administrators, teachers, just helping them to see that as the church, we're here to help them. We want to let them know that's our place.
Okay, so you work more with the youth. All right, for me growing up, it was all about relatability, especially when it involving the church. How could I relate to you? How could I how could I feel comfortable, being able to talk to you about certain things? How do you show, I guess, the kids that, the people you work with, that they could be comfortable coming to you? What's your story? You know what I mean?
Yeah, that's a good question. Really good question, man. It's all about relationships for me.
All right. So, what brought you to this place that you want to give your all to this? What's your story?
My story.
Be honest. Be honest.
So it may not look like it, but I was a drug dealer for over 7 years.
You do not look like it at all. Let's hear about that. From that space, transitioning to where you are now. What changed? What happened?
I was tired of getting locked up. No, I'm just joking. No, that was part of it. But honestly, what changed was I realized I was unfortunately destroying my community. I really believed I was destroying my community. Now,
what made you realize that?
Man, I got to this place where I had gotten put in jail again, and this was for the last time. And I was in jail with quite a few other individuals. And these individuals, I noticed they were just, who they were did not resonate with who I was. I noticed that they actually had no problem with, destroying their community. They had no problem with it. I didn't like destroying my community. I liked making money. I liked the feeling, the power associated with dealing drugs.
Yeah, that's usually the story for everybody, is the money, getting themselves out of a certain situation. But I want to hear the story. What was the change? Like what shifted from the money is not important no more, I'm destroying my community? Did you watch something? Did you hear something? Did you go to church? What happened?
Honestly, so my mom has always been a voice in my life, and she's always been praying for me, always been caring for me. And I never really cared enough to apply what she said until I ended up getting ready. I was facing 15 years. And I was on a first offenders program, and essentially through the first offenders program, as long as you complete the first offenders program, you're good. Well, I got to the end of the year and got caught with over 4 pounds and a whole bunch of different pills. And I was sitting in front of the judge, and the judge was flipping through everything, and he looks at everything and goes, you know what? You're good. And I'm like, what? And he goes, you're good. anything you want to say? I looked at my lawyer. My lawyer was like, yeah, we're good. And you left. And I was like, what happened? He was like, well, you had gotten locked up so close to this court date that the judge didn't even have it in his records yet. And so when I got through that moment, I was like, man, I just dodged 15 years in prison. And when I was in jail for that last time, I had no one was getting me out of jail for this last time. And my mom I thought was going to be the one to get me out. She didn't. Before she had a bail bondsman actually come to her and said, get him out of jail. And she was like, no, I'm tired. I'm tired of not doing it. Get him out of jail. Well, she decided to go ahead and do what he said. He actually said, trust me, he's never going back to jail again. Well, years later, my mom told me that story. I never went back to jail again. And not only did he pay for my way out, but he vouched for me, and he said the only deal was I had to go to church if he got me out. That was an easy deal. Went to jail. I went to church, and I ended up hearing from that pastor about that I had a calling on my life, and I decided to change from there.
That's dope.
Yeah,
that's awesome, man. And the last thing I'll say is I ask, like, what message are you gonna give to the people? Anybody who wants to do something great for the community, like you are, who have a rough past or who feel trapped, what message would you give them?
If we're going to talk to the people, I got to say, man, know this. You're called, you're chosen, you're purposed. And the best way to understand that, recognize what your passion is. I recognized what my passion was, and I focused on what I was good at, what I did well naturally, what other people saw in me. But one of the most important things, because I was so in love with money, I had to realize, what would I do for the rest of my life for free? When I realized those things, I aligned it with my passion. And when I found my passion, I found my purpose. And now in my purpose, I live every day recognizing that I don't need to go back, because what I'm in is so much greater and so much worth it, so much more worth it for me and my legacy.
That's what's up. I appreciate it, Rashad.
That's what's up.
Let the people know where they can follow you.
Yeah, you can follow me on Instagram, Shad B. Williams.
Dope. And follow me at the Sam Tim Show, Sam, SAM _ TIM _. Appreciate it.
Wow, wasn't that an incredible interview with Sam Tim? Next, we will be featuring our Spotlight business, where we feature minority-owned businesses. Join us in welcoming T-Posh Naturals.
What's up, everybody? We are at T-Posh, man. Come on in. We're gonna check this awesome establishment out. First of all, awesome vibe as soon as you come in here. I have some great food options. Matter of fact, we're gonna get some food right now. So,
T-Posh Naturals, where we're here interviewing the owner, the amazing founder. What is your name?
I am Tyresha Nelson, and yes, I'm the owner and founder of T-Posh Naturals.
So we're here with the 21st Man interviewing T-Posh Naturals owner, and we're really excited about trying some of this food. Can you tell me what's on this plate and what's on his plate?
Yeah. Absolutely. So what's on your plate? That's what we call the possible burger. So everybody knows about the impossible burger, but this is the possible burger. And this burger is made from scratch right here at T-Posh Naturals. There's no additives in it. There's no chemical base in it. No labs in it. It is 100% mushroom. We use some ancient grains, some really good alkaline, healthy seasoning, and herbs. So you have burdock root that is in this burger, and you also have black walnut that's in the burger that's seasoned to perfection. And the loaded fries is basically the same thing, the barrel banana. We make as fries, but we load that with your favorite vegetables. And this is our famous mock chicken.
Yeah,
so this is actually an oyster mushroom that's battered to perfection. And we don't use normal flours, we don't use normal oils. So everything is pretty much, foods and sources that comes from other countries that serves the body some type of benefit. So this is actually coated and battered with chickpea flour. Wow. And chickpea is a very huge primary substance for protein.
Is it?
So for those individuals,
like
so those individuals that are concerned about going vegan or trying to alkaline vegan, but you gotta have your protein because you stay in the gym. Well, you have plant-based protein, and chickpeas is one, avocado is one, and one of the main primaries for a source of plant-based protein is hemp seeds. And we serve all that here at T-Posh Naturals.
Yes. That banana tastes like a French fry.
Yes. Tastes better than fries.
You changed my life.
Yeah.
This is a banana that tastes like a fry. Unbelievable.
Let's ask some questions. Who are you? Let me ask that question. Who are you? Tell us about who you are. Okay. What started this passion of yours to get to the whole alkaline movement and Dr. Sebi?
Absolutely.
Tell me all about that.
Well, I am just a young girl from Sherwood, here from Jacksonville, Florida. And what made the difference for me is I left in 2005 and moved to South Florida. And my adventures in South Florida ended up, working at a college, helping people graduate and educate with Capital University for about 10 years, graduated with a couple of degrees, and also traveled over 5 different countries. So I actually was sick myself, where I had a huge hormone problem, and I started to do my own study on what it is that I could heal myself on a natural way, and ran into Dr. Sebi. And a lot of the information based on my study that I did find out, it was so shocking for me, shocking for my people, for my community, for my family. So I just started teaching other people the benefit of it. I ultimately lost over 120 pounds. Wow. And I just became a new person. And I decided to bring it home here in Jacksonville and introduce this lifestyle to the north side.
One of the beautiful things that I love is how community focused you are.
Yes. I
appreciate you for allowing us to do this interview. This food is, bro, to live for. Don't say to die for. That's why we're not saying impossible, we say possible. Thank you again for tuning in to the 21st Men and our commercial with T-Posh Naturals. And we are going to be interviewing multiple Black, Brown, and Latino-owned businesses in America. We hope we get there, but here in Jacksonville, Florida. And stay tuned. And thank you so much again. I do appreciate it.
Absolutely.
Thank you.
Man, that was amazing. Love T-Posh so much. Them burro fries, that burger, hit it up, man. But check it out. We're gonna go into now Brandon Lampleys' debatable take on sports. Check it out.
What up, everybody? You're now tuned into the true definition of a sports fanatic. I'm your host, Brandon Lampley. Today's show is curated by the 21st Men. My topic today, we're going to talk about HBCUs. Now, because of what's going on, social climate right now, and Black Lives Matter and things like that, HBCUs have come back to the forefront. I mean, in the past, that's where our hub of Black athletes and basically Black Hall of Fame talent has come from. But in recent years, of course, our athletes have moved to predominantly white institutions. But now there's talk about our athletes going back home to HBCUs. And the reason for that is, of course, is a lot of athletes are starting to understand when they do go to predominantly white institutions, some of the issues you may have with certain students saying things, coaches being insensitive to your culture, and certain, I would say, just like Clemson, they had John C. Calhoun, who was a former slave owner, on their college honors buildings, and they petitioned to have them taken off. So as far as HBCUs is concerned, they're coming back to the forefront because a lot of them, they're going back home. And it was started off by a young man named Mikey Williams. Mikey Williams is the 2023 5-star #1 prospect in his class in basketball. Mikey's going to the league in a few years. But Mikey talked about not going to predominantly white institutions, but going to HBCUs. Now, he's still 3 years out before he can make a decision. But a few days ago, a 5-star prospect, Makur Maker, committed to Howard University in Washington, D.C. Now, initially, McClure, he just went on a visit just to go see what things were like. It wasn't taken very seriously, but McClure made a decision. He put his money where his mouth is, and he's going to Howard University. That is a huge domino in athletes going back home. A few hours after he got done with that, Daniel Ingram, a 3-star prospect who was committed to the University of Cincinnati, plays quarterback and plays running back, decommitted from Cincinnati, and now he's going to go to Arkansas Pine Bluff. And now there's rumblings of different athletes talking about doing those same things. You got other athletes who are at predominantly white institutions are leaving their institutions and they're looking to go to HBCUs. Now, back in the day, HBCUs is where the black talent came from because we simply could not go to those institutions. You couldn't go to LSU, you couldn't go to Florida, you couldn't go to Clemson, you couldn't go to Florida State. Now they're coming back and now they're going to want to bring HBCUs back to the limelight. And so it's very simple how you do it. It's not complex. So the reason why the current state of affairs is what it is money. It's that simple. So if the top athletes go to HBCUs, TV contracts go to HBCUs, money gets funneled into those programs. You build those programs up and you attract better athletes. It's the same thing the predominantly white institutions had done. But because of what they had some of the best people, I guess, in the United States go to their institutions. And when they went to their institutions, they graduated, made money, brought money back to their institutions, built their institutions up, and made their athletics departments some of the top in the country. You have to do the same with HBCUs. But the young men and women who are going to choose to go to the HBCUs, it's all you have to do is choose, go, play, and ball out. Because if you ball out, they will find you. It does not matter where you go. You can go to Roast Beef Tech. You can go to Nowhere State. That's like Zion Williamson. Zion Williamson went to Duke, but he didn't have to go to Duke. Zion wouldn't played at the YMCA. He still would have went #1 in the NBA because he had a following before he got to Duke. So to the young men and women who are considering going to HBCUs and wondering about how it will affect your professional career, don't worry about that. Choose the HBCU, go there, help build it up, ball out, and if you're good, they will find you. Now, to wrap up, for me, I feel like I think it's one of the best things because for me, the HBCUs, as far as athletics, have been a joke for the better part of about 15 to 20 years. I mean, there's pageantry there and there are athletes that come out of there, but it's not the same as it was back in the day where you had actual Hall of Famers in different sports come out of, say, a Howard, say a Arkansas Pine Bluff, say a Grambling, a Southern, and schools like that. So now let's take it back to the HBCUs, put them back on the map and get us to where we want to be at. But that is my time. I appreciate you guys. I'll talk to you guys later. Peace.
Now, what did you think about that? High school athletes choosing HBCUs now over big time universities? Wow, that's something to talk about. Now, we're moving on to Chris Wilmot and his show, God Accepts You.
Hello, welcome. My name is Christopher Wilmot, owner and operator of God Accepts You, also known as GAY for the acronym, and this segment is curated by the 21st Men. What I'm trying to do with this vision or mission or organization is to bridge the gap between the gay community and the church community to help them to understand that God accepts them, grace can change them, and you can practice self-control. By practicing self-control, that is the benefit of all people, believer or not, to be able to experience what I have experienced in my own personal life. I've been a product of this change and transformation for probably about 6 years, going on 7. So I'm trying to lead men and women like yourself into this exact same thing that I've experienced. A lot of people in the church community don't really believe or think that gay people are accepted by God. Now, of course, God doesn't accept sin, but God does accept them. And so what I'm trying to do as the owner and operator here is to show people exactly what that is. What does acceptance look like? What does change look like? And what does practicing self-control look like? especially in the area of your sexual desires. I have had the benefit, the blessing, the privilege to identify with Jesus Christ. So I'm trying to lead other people like yourself to do the same. So just by simply believing in Jesus, accepting him as your Lord and Savior, that is the start. Now, let's be honest, that's not the finish, but that's the start. And so you start to work through this process of being accepted, allowing God to change who you are, not what you do, not what you think, not how you feel, per se, just who you think you are. And that goes to the identity portion of what we believe. So once you get your identity changed by God's grace, again, this is something you're not doing yourself. This is all on him. Once you get that change, you can come into the acceptance, the experience of the change, deeper changes, and then, of course, self-control. Now, self-control is something I notice most men, targeting the men, sometimes struggle with, because most men have not been taught to control themselves. But I believe through purpose and self-control, those are the things that make a real man. So I'm trying to lead you and anybody else you may know to do these exact same things. Remember the 3 pillars I told you: acceptance, change, and self-control. As you just come into this understanding, and this is a free gift. This is the big thing that a lot of people don't understand, that this is free. This is not conversion therapy. This is not some medical treatment or experiment. It's just love and true love. And with truth and love, which partners together to help you to experience this, you'll actually experience and see exactly what I have been seeing and continue to see. To give you a little bit more about myself, around the age of 18 is when people would say that you came out into that lifestyle. I came out around 18 years old, and then all the way from 18 to about 22, 23-ish is when I was actively in the LGBT lifestyle, gay lifestyle, whichever you prefer. And around that 22, 23 mark is when God started, I felt drawing me to himself, not to be straight or be any of those other things that a lot of people think, just to himself, letting me know about him and how he accepts me and what he can change about me. And through that process, as I've described to you and will continue to over these segments, God just began to do a work in me internally. He started working on me internally, and then it started showing externally. Now, the change that and what it looks like for me personally as a single man, I'm looking to Jesus, practicing self-control, denying things that are not godly, and continue to walk the line that he has prepared for me and also has prepared for you. So through identity, which is what I believe I have received as the ultimate change. And then through self-control is how I'm walking in this, what they would call deliverance or change, or whichever word you prefer. I'm not big on names or titles, but I am big on Jesus. So I just offer you his free grace as it was offered to me. If any of this interests you, please don't hesitate to email or look up any of the social handles. www.godacceptsyou2.com, the number 2, is the website. I am on Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, G.A.Y apparel for all of those. And then God Accepts You, the number 2, again, for Twitter. And then you can also email me at godacceptsyouinfo@gmail.com. And that's all the information and all the time that we have today. Until next time, I'll see you around. Don't forget, God accepts you, grace changes you, and you can control you.
Man, how did you like that with God Accepts You, where he kind of talked about his vision and his heart behind God Accepts You? Incredible.
Welcome to the Playlist Podcast. Melanated Man and Ebony Man's music therapy fishbowl experiment that I put together. Now you're asking some questions about what that even means. So right now, music for me is therapeutic. Music is usually, my universal language. I think it's our universal language. When you talk about energy and frequency and vibrations, is one thing that connects us all through humanity. So as a black man, we normally can't articulate our feelings. We really don't have a space for that. It's not a part of our culture, our upbringing. So I wanted to create a container that we can actually express ourselves, unwind, decompress. What better way than to do that through music? Something that really gives us permission, to talk about love life, finances, the hard times, the success, the loss of loved ones and family members that we always go through. So we put this together. Now, it's a fishbowl because our women can be a part of this, because I do want them to see this process, but they can't comment towards it. So they can only speak to me. And I normally have my co-hosts He's not here with me today, but they can only direct their comments and questions towards us as hosts. But I really wanted to create this safe space, this courageous space, so that Black men can really have a place that we can unwind, talk about our feelings and our emotions. You know, one of the first ones that I immediately think about was Get Over from Lil Wayne. And that hit me personally. He talked about not having a father, you know, growing up and what that did to him, what that did for him. And really looking at it holistically, that really stuck, because I grew up without a father as well. And I had to really heal from that trauma. And that took really some time up until when I was in college to really heal from that trauma. So I know if I was going through it, you know, individuals in my neighborhood were going through similar circumstances and overcoming similar trials and tribulations. So I wanted that, being that our family and our community, we don't really have that outlet, but we go and connect when we're riding and we play that track. When we're drawn to that certain artist, it does something to us. All of us have that ride around music, you know, that we just kind of play, that brings us down sometimes when we are going, our mind is all over the place. And then sometimes that song that gets us out of funk. And then even that song or that artist or that production that lifts us up and gives us that confidence, that support system that we don't normally feel all the time. So I created the Playlist podcast for you, for me, but really for a place that Black men can begin the healing process. You know, you can follow us online at The Playlist Works. Why? Because that's what we really feel. You know, music is therapeutic. Music is something that we all share. You know, I can play a track. You know, it could be something like Nipsey Hussle right now, and you'll start to feel that energy. And so I wanted that connection to be drawn and be made because, you know, us as Black men specifically, we needed that space. We needed that container so that we can begin this process of rebuilding our communities. So please check us out. Continue to vibe with us. Send us some songs every week. We ask for songs that really encapsulate and captures what that week has meant for you and done for you. Drop that, and we create the playlist from it, and then we share that with the world. And it's a special moment for us all to really get put onto a new artist or revisit an old track that you haven't heard in a long time. So that space is something that we share, and we put it together, and we create it together. We design it together. So I appreciate, you know, this opportunity curated by the 21st Men for I can introduce to you the Playlist podcast, and so that you can drop some songs and put me on, and I can do the same with you. So the Playlist Works. We're healing this culture. Please check us out. I see you. I feel you. I love you.
Man, that was incredible. The vulnerability and the transparency that the guys were able to show and broadcast to you guys was really incredible. Join us for the next 6 curated shows that the guys are going to voice to you guys. But next, join us for the roundtable discussion where we're redefining masculinity through our 4 pillars of modern manhood. 1, entrepreneurialism, community, integrity, and you guessed it, our very last, masculinity. Subscribe, like, and share. Till next time, the 21st Men out.